Excellent. An ale for me. And for my officers. In fact, ales for everyone.
10 backwards. Rick and Wick. And Will.
Oh, yes.
Last time on
10 backwards.
I think Phlox is the most sensual of all the characters.
How did you know, sir?
Oh, but that makes it... Oh, but he's off limits.
Oh, Reed's really difficult to get to know. I've talked to his family, I've talked to his friends.
Oh, try get... Oh, shit, I've got...
And everyone's saying it's difficult to get to know him.
Achoo!
I've tried to get to know him on here, it's difficult to get to know. So at the end of it, what we know about Reed is he likes pineapple.
Hosty
Weather.
What?
Then
Who?
we have...
Right,
Travis who?
Quantum Leaf's got a great theme tune.
You ever noticed her bum?
and now the conclusion.
Her bum.
Hey everyone, welcome to 10Backward, a podcast about Star Trek from merry old England. I'm Richard, and to my left is Rick.
Hello.
And in front of me is Will.
Kapla!
And to his left is his wife Gemma.
Hello.
We're going to review what we think are our personal lowlights of the series, the kind of subplot of the temporal Cold War that was introduced in Enterprise Season 1, and our general thoughts about the series. Is that about right?
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Great.
Sounds good.
Lows.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's tackle.
I may have touched on the crew's attitude towards Vulcan culture as a low. Don't know if I've mentioned that. I think I have.
Yes. Yeah.
Strange New World, and sequentially in the series, Strange New World for me is a low.
Yeah.
Yes, I
It's
agree
not
with that.
I do find sort of
Okay.
just the whole first series starts Broken Boat. Aside from Broken Boat, it starts weakly, but then gets a lot better.
Yeah. For me, Strange New Worlds, I had problems with it because Archer is a real dick to T'Pol in that episode. And the problem is, it felt like there should have been a scene at the end where he says to T'Pol, "You know what? You were absolutely right. You said we shouldn't go down to that planet. We treat it like it was a little jolly camping trip. We don't know what we're doing out here. Yeah, I took my dog, put my NX-01 cap on. And it turns out we were exposed to a hallucinogenic pollen, and we all tried to kill each other. Whoops. Someone nearly died, although at some points in the episode it seemed like that person had died, but then right at the end they said actually he was okay, and it felt like that was a last minute.
Novakovic, was it?
It felt like a last minute like adjustment because they didn't want to go as serious as to say someone had died. But then the episode just ends, and you kind of think, why wasn't there a scene where Archer says, "You know what, T'Pol, we don't know what we're up against. You were right. I was an idiot. I'm going to listen to you more in the future."
He just did that at the end of Broken Bow.
Yeah. And then, but he 100% forgot what he said and just acted like a
he should have.
like a tool.
He could have. There should have been a scene where he maybe acknowledged that more detailed analysis before sending an away team down.
Yeah, compromise,
but
right?
Also, that episode is a bit boring. It's got a lot of scenes of people just being all like tripping their tits off for ages, and it doesn't. It feels like you know what the resolution's going to be from about halfway through the episode, and it's 15 just
minutes
filling
of
time.
Paranoid ranting.
This
is not
tripping.
actually particularly entertaining.
Tripping balls. Yeah.
Because why in that episode? Why when T'Pol said a Vulcan ship would probably take about a week to scan the planet to make sure it's safe? Archer could just go, well, okay, but surely a week's a bit of a long time. We could probably do it in a couple of days. Why don't we try and get it done in a couple of days?
Just a day's more analysis, for God's sake. You might have twigged about the pollen.
But instead of that, it's like,
no,
T'Pol, you Vulcans and your protocol. Everyone get in the shuttle pod. Take your swimming shorts down. Party time.
Everyone get their pets.
Bring all of your dangerous pets. Who cares about that? The ecosystem on that planet. That almost certainly won't be affected.
Analysis is for squares.
yeah, that's it.
You should put that
Come
on
on.
a t-shirt.
Come on, Poindexter, get in there.
Maybe our first podcast t-shirt can be analysis is for squares.
I liked it. Okay.
Incidentally, about the contaminating ecosystems. What's the one where Hoshi gets a slug from one planet and then just leaves it on another planet?
Oh yeah, is that in
That's actually fight.
Is that
Fight
Fight
or
or
Flight,
Flight?
yeah.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does that, doesn't she?
Flossy's
And
like,
that's
fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
incredibly dangerous and irresponsible.
They should have returned to that planet in like series 4 and found out that slug had like killed everything.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a sentient slug or something.
And also, it was pining after Hoshi. And no, I don't want to get into where that's going. Well, you know.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. I've also I've got Rogue Planet on my low list because it is. It's that one where they go to a planet and it's dark, and they meet some hunters, and they're really dismissive about hunting, even
Very
though
judgy.
they are. They're like, oh,
Hunting went out of style on Earth over 100 years ago.
And Reed's
Can
like,
we-
can I join?
yeah,
I
can we
join
hang
the
out
hunting?
with you on
But
this
we
hunt?
still have space
What?
shotguns in case a Klingon turns up.
Yeah. And it's a really. I was pretty bored watching that episode, and
It
there's
wasn't the most exciting.
it's just a very silly. There's a woman in a nightie from a
Archer's
poem that
Chasing around
Archer
after this
remembers.
imaginary
And
woman.
it,
Paul calls him on that because I wonder if you'd be so interested in this if it was a scantily.
I thought that I liked that one.
That's a
actually
good line.
that was
So
one
at least they
interesting.
call that a little bit, I think.
Yeah, but it just felt like a waste of my precious time that I had to sit through that episode.
The
It wasn't
of
dreadful.
Planet is cool.
Yeah.
It would be, I agree.
But it wasn't dreadful. It was just it just annoyed me because it was boring.
Mm-hmm.
But
Have we all got acquisition marked down?
yes, of course we have, because what a waste of time. Again, it's okay. So the Ferengi. I shouldn't have been around. From what's established in TNG, Ferengi shouldn't have been around at the time of Enterprise.
Well,
or
they
at least
could be around,
humans
we just
shouldn't.
couldn't encounter them.
Yeah.
They were mentioned, I think, in Dear Doctor.
Okay.
As a race that they had, the race that were slowly dying out. They'd looked at and they had encountered the Ferengi, but the Ferengi hadn't helped them. And interestingly, in Acquisition, when one of the Ferengi is told to carry something, he says to them, "What do I look like, a Menk?" Or something along that line. So, it was a definite call.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, it's just a bit like, if you're going to have the Ferengi come in and immediately incapacitate the crew of the Enterprise and then try and rob them, the crew of the Enterprise should not immediately fall into the Next Gen or Voyager pattern of like, oh, it's the Ferengi and their wacky schemes.
Yeah.
And that's essentially how this episode played out.
Yeah.
It just felt like a wacky Ferengi scheme. And it wasn't about encountering a race we hadn't encountered before.
Yeah.
And so
it seemed like they did a Ferengi episode because we were like, people don't know who these are.
Yes, that was it. That's it. It's like, oh, well, yeah, everyone knows and loves the Ferengi. Let's have a Ferengi
At the
episode.
end of it, what had the Enterprise crew learned or benefited from in this way? Nothing at all.
Really, and although they never mentioned it, one thing they could have learned was their ship security is pretty weak. It's like the Ferengi
Reed
managed to
had
get.
mentioned this several times through the series. But
They need to do something about that. The Ferengi were able to get their Deus Ex knockout gas unit into a prime position.
there was one character in that whole episode who grew and benefited from the story, and that was the Ferengi played by Jeffrey Combs.
Yes, yeah,
And with all due respect to Jeffrey, who the hell cares? That character's never seen again.
yeah.
What's the point of growing and enhancing that character to disappear and never be seen again?
That's part of what's frustrating about the episode is that it had Jeffrey Combs in it, had Ethan Phillips, some great Star Trek pedigree there, absolutely wasted.
Oh, Clint Howard in it. Who played
don't know who
Balok
that is.
in Cold-Mite Manoeuvre.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yes,
Did it?
He was another Frankie. Yeah.
Think about
Serious
Tranya.
Star Trek pedigree. But yeah, it was just a big pointless load of pointless nothing.
It was so frustrating. I hate it in episodes where you kind of think if this was any other episode, Archer or whoever is still conscious will have just punched everyone. There's like 5 Ferengi. Punch everyone. They're not fighters. We know that. The episode could have been done in 5 minutes, but because of for the purposes of the plot, Archie gets involved in this whole kind of thing where he's trying to get the Ferengi to turn against each other.
Pretending he's got hidden treasure.
Yeah, it's so there's nothing entertaining about it. I mean,
if there's one good thing about the episode, it's the use of the Ferengi energy whip.
Yes, and that was a nice callback.
And that's it.
I got to admit, when I saw that, I was like, oh.
And they were done better than they were in Last Outpost and TNG.
Yeah.
Where they looked a bit like those foam noodles you get for swimming pools.
Yeah.
yeah. The energy whip was pretty cool.
But we've got to discuss unexpected, haven't we? We've got to. And I know that, Rick, you are willing to defend this episode.
I am.
I think maybe Gemma to some extent is, but as
the other Rick, I'm no way going to defend this episode.
I have written here unexpected shit in block capitals and an exclamation mark. Drop the mic.
Okay.
But
here's my thing, right?
Okay.
What is the mission statement of Star Trek? To seek out
new life, new civilizations, explore strange new worlds,
and boldly go where no one has gone before. And in that episode, all that happens.
Yeah.
There are some pretty broad comedic brushstrokes in terms of the subject, but apart from that, I think that it's perfectly fine. It's just in the it's only the execution where it suffers a little bit. I'll acknowledge that. In terms of what the story is about, I have absolutely no problem with that.
So in the story, Trip gets pregnant. Trip gets
it's a bit more,
up the duff
it's more,
from a...
The Enterprise's systems are all out of whack. Archer's having a shower. It goes wrong.
Oh yeah, that's it.
You don't see anything.
No.
And it turns out that there's a ship that's kind of it's kind of hiding itself in their wake, I think, and it's maybe kind of taking some of their energy from the wake.
Yeah.
And it's an alien race called the not the Benzonites. Something. What are they called?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we certainly don't encounter them again.
So the ship, their engine is broken, or damaged anyway. So Archie says, "Well, I'll send my engineer over to help." But their ship has a slightly different atmosphere, I think. So there's a period of decompression that ship has to go through.
I've got to admit, I liked that idea, and that's something we don't see in Star Trek very much. And realistically, if you're encountering alien species, then the idea that you might have to take some adjustment for their atmosphere is a good one.
And to be fair, these aliens, they repeatedly mention that. And as soon as Trip arrives, he wants to kind of get on with work, and it doesn't go very. He is tripping balls. He starts feeling well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But eventually, he has a rest, and he acclimatizes to the ship.
And actually, I like the way that's done. There's some nice, he's meant to sort of feel really claustrophobic and wigged out, and that's done quite well.
And he's working with an alien. Another engineer on the ship, and they hit it off, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they go for some downtime, I think. So they go to what turns out to be something very similar to a holodeck.
Yeah, that's it. And that's one of my problems with the episode, is that we've got a prequel series here. It's trying to distance itself from. It's trying to do something new and different. We're in like episode 3. What is it? Episode 5, and already the idea of a holodeck has been introduced. And did we need?
Is that it? Cretaceans?
Oh, that might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I can neither confirm nor deny it.
Okay. Yeah. It's something we've seen
And
before.
that holodeck looks that set looks dreadful. It looks like it maybe cost them about £7.80 to create. It's
fair,
like sparkly wallpaper.
Yeah, the inside of the entire ship does look pretty dreadful.
AstroTurf.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a great bit where Trip's like, you got real grass in here. It's not grass, it's AstroTurf.
You got food on the wall.
Yeah. You should have said, but it looks awful.
Okay, but that still doesn't mean that the story is bad.
It doesn't mean that, but the story is bad because
I
So Trip puts his hands in a bowl of special pebbles and gets up the duff, and that literally happens.
Yes, true. But
so, and then there's what we see is a kind of a series of hilarious sequences where Trip.
Well, he gets
a
blemish on his wrist, right? It
Yeah.
turns out it's a nipple. He goes
Yep.
to Phlox, and Phlox tells him that he's pregnant.
And then he's like, then he gets an enormous appetite because pregnant chicks like to eat, so he's really hungry. And then he gets really paranoid about health and safety in engineering because pregnant chicks get really maternal and worried about things.
No, but that's playing fast and loose with pregnancy. But I don't think that episode. There's nothing in that episode that makes me think that that's a female affliction. I don't see those cliches about pregnancy and think that's a female cliche. I just think that's it's not subtle, but it doesn't bother me. Like it's just.
But it just felt like it was like it's kind of a comedy episode, but those jokes aren't especially funny. They're more kind of cringy, and I think maybe that's kind of the crux of my issue with it, is that it's playing that subject for comedy, and it's
like I said before. I agree that it's dealt with broad brushstrokes, but I don't think it's to an extent where it becomes offensive, or the cliche is taken to a point where it's offensive. I just think it just is what it is. It's an episode about a man becoming pregnant.
Yeah.
I guess the subject. It is an episode that could have worked much better, and they should have. I think they should have had that episode, but they should have done it far better without the comedy.
They could have done it as a serious.
But
It's
kind of
there's issues of child abandonment because the aliens take off and leave.
Well, she doesn't know that he's pregnant. It's one of those where a couple gets together, they have a one night stand. One of them gets pregnant, the other one doesn't know.
One of them didn't even know that they had sex.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there is also that issue.
That kind of sits a bit funny with me that he was essentially impregnated without his knowledge or consent.
Yeah.
She knew
There was an
it was
episode where he
possible,
shook the
didn't
captain's
she?
hand, and the captain's like, "Whoa!"
She thought it wouldn't happen, but thought
she thought that he wouldn't get pregnant.
Yeah.
So she thought he wouldn't get pregnant.
Right.
But
she was using the withdrawal method.
doing.
She thought she'd pull her hands out the bowl fast enough that it would have worked.
Yeah.
Which we all know doesn't work 100% of the time.
She is sexy. I would put my hands in those pebbles.
Oh, here we go.
I felt that the issue was a fantastic concept that could have been handled in a much better, more meaningful way. And I also feel that there is the issue that that was a non-consensual impregnation, which is a worrying thing to be handled in a comedy episode.
Yeah,
that issue was never really tackled, was it?
Well, maybe they have a different attitude. They're aliens.
I would love to have Trip to be
Well, yeah.
to be trying to reconcile his feelings of being impregnated against his without his knowledge or consent, against the fact that the serious issues around his protective feelings and maternal feelings that would have developed.
There's no time for
handled
that.
seriously in a sensitive way.
Yeah, but all we get is scenes where he's like, I'm so hungry because I'm pregnant. Hilarious.
I just think it's a missed opportunity to do something very, very interesting and meaningful.
Yeah, and
That's my issue with
I kind of thought as well. It's maybe a bit early in the season for a comedy episode. Like maybe save
That's
that.
true. I would agree there. It's
Wait till the characters
you
are.
want to kind of get everything settled before you go into.
Well, this
that.
is our first
Yeah.
real Trip episode as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like it could have been written for anybody. It wasn't telling us much about Trip.
But it does also tell us something about it. It plays into the atmosphere of the crew. We're talking about the casual bullying of T'Pol all the time, and it's kind of schoolyard kind of. They're all knocking along together, and there's no kind of petering out now.
Yeah, no, I got
I
that.
haven't really thought about my point.
Yeah, it's no
deeply.
problem. I didn't expect that you.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that one.
I didn't think you
could,
would do.
The thing is, that one thing you could do, you could watch Unexpected after watching the episode where Data creates his child, and it would probably cheer you up. Like that episode where Data creates his daughter is brilliant, but it's also heartbreaking.
It's really heartbreaking.
emotional.
It's one of the few episodes of Star Trek that can always get an emotional response from me. No
And
matter
to be
how much
fair,
it
also
means to see it.
in season 2, there's another episode with Trip where he gets kind of involved in an alien situation, and that is really good.
Are you talking about Cogenitor?
That's a great episode actually. Yeah.
So,
hey, save it for the season 2 podcast.
see, I'm just going to say I like Unexpected. I can see what you guys are saying about the timing of it and its broad brushstrokes with a subject that could have been dealt with differently, but overall, he's fine.
Oh, I've got another low light.
Oh God.
2 days and 2 nights.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, essentially, overall, it's pretty meh.
It's a riser. If you've not seen it, it's a riser episode. Basically, nothing important
Has there ever been a
happens.
good episode?
I was thinking that. I was trying to think. When has Star Trek
Captain's
ever?
Holiday.
Yeah. But is it? But how is Captain's Holiday just the best Riser episode? Is it actually a good episode, or is it just the best Riser episode that we've got?
Do you remember that bit where Picard punches the Ferengi and then tosses the gun from one hand to the other?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, okay. Argument one.
It's close.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good
You made a good point.
So, yeah, it's kind of middle. It's just a bit meh for most of it. But the Trip and Read part of it. Trip and Read had established this amazing bromance in Shuttlepod 1. They'd really got into the characters, really... we've said... I can't say enough good things about Shuttlepod 1.
Yeah.
So then, what's the follow-up? The next time we see Trip and Read, the double act, they go to Risa, and they just spend so much time really reinforcing that these guys are really straight. They love boobs and all lady bits.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way they talk is just appalling.
Really, you know what? Not to reference classic British sitcom Only Fools and Horses again, but it really reminds me of that scene where Derek Trotter and Trigger are at that bar and Del Boy falls through the. Because in that scene they're doing that thing where they're looking over your back, over your shoulder at stuff that's going on, especially when they're looking at women. It really reminded me of Only Fools and Horses in that respect.
Honestly, the way the two of them act, they fully deserve to be taken for a ride by two women who are actually guys in disguise and being robbed. But it's...
Yeah.
Oh, she's nice. Yes, you like tentacles. Oh, maybe I do.
Oh, God.
What about that one?
Now I know you've been cooped up in a starship for too long. Oh, what's wrong with her? Well, nothing, I suppose. I just wouldn't know which eyes to look into.
What particularly gets me is there was a fairly persistent rumour initially that Reed was going to be Star Trek's first regular gay character, and that was an exciting possibility. Dominic Keaton's even said he played Reed as gay to begin with.
I've read that, yeah.
And it's almost then like they got hold of that idea and said, quickly, make them so straight, make them all about boobs.
Yeah.
Even have a hilarious thing where one of them's checking out someone who isn't a woman, it turns out, and then they're all embarrassed. It's just like, oh my god.
What did you guys think about the all relatively pointless Mayweather bit where he goes rock climbing and gets hurt and comes back immediately?
Well, that felt like it was just a setup for some quite silly comedy for Flux.
I'm really tired and confused. Yeah,
which was really cartoonish, but I gotta admit, I didn't mind it because I like Flux so much.
Honestly, it was the best. It was the best episode.
Yeah,
and you get to see Crewman Cutler. So.
Yeah,
it was the best one. The Archer storyline was just completely meh.
Yeah,
and I'm really disappointed because they got Dae Young in to play his love interest in that, and she's been in Trek before. She was in the Masterpiece Society, I think, as the scientist who was willing to leave the perfectly engineered world, and she was also Orissa, the Edanian spy that Odo got involved with in Simple Investigation. Odo's first intimate experience, and so I was disappointed that they then got in her in such a meh character in a meh story.
Space dog, got a yappy space dog.
Yeah,
the Hoshi storyline again, just served by the fact there was absolutely no charm or charisma behind the guy she was with.
It's kind of a nice idea that like she goes out and gets laid, and that wasn't what she was planning to do, but she succeeds where Trip and Tucker failed, and
she has the most successful holiday.
Yeah, and I kind of like that, but yeah, the actual execution didn't work because there's no chemistry there, and I just felt like, how was I meant to feel about that storyline? Was I meant to be interested, or what did it tell me about her character?
In this episode, Ricer seems a bit more kind of chilled than it's portrayed in later.
Sorry,
apart from the Reed and Trip bit.
The bit on the shuttle going down to Ricer, where everyone's talking what they're going to do, and like literally Reed and Tucker are just giggling like idiots. We're going to experience other cultures, and like Hoshi's like, I'd like to learn some new languages. Like, she wants to learn languages. The nerd.
Yeah. That's it.
Right.
Literally, they should have just put their analysis for squares t-shirts.
Yeah, they should have. And it is quite satisfying in that way that Hoshi's the one who goes out and gets laid. But then she totally doesn't talk about it when she comes back. I kind of like that. There's a bit of dignity to it. It's like, yeah, you know what? I scored, no big deal. Not going to go on about it, not a problem.
Just an awful.
But I didn't hate it, but it just felt like, again, it was just a waste of time. It was like, if that episode wasn't in the season, what would that have lost? You know, what would you miss from the season?
They kind of set up that episode because there's a couple of episodes where they're going to Rising.
That's the worst thing. There's like a 3-episode build-up. Then going to Ricer.
Have we got any more low points?
I've just written all the quotation fingers sexy to pull bits. But we've covered that, haven't we? We've covered
the Hoshi having her top ripped off. Or she's
hold your horses. That is season 2. Gemma.
Oh, sorry.
That is the season 2 opener.
What a fool!
Where she catches her top on something.
You must feel as embarrassed as Reed and Tucker did when they tied up in their underwear after finding out those sexy ladies were in fact men wanting to rock them.
Yeah. I'll cut that bit from the episode and I'll paste it into the season 2.
Were they shapeshifters, or was it like a little kind of camouflagey thing?
Or did they
I stopped caring long before I found out.
So where are we at? I guess we need to talk about the temporal corridor, don't we?
We do. Yeah, I mean, I was always a bit meh about that Cold War storyline.
Me too.
I kind of came into Enterprise feeling time travel had been overdone and not always very well. But looking back at Series 1 with this rewatch, it's hardly there.
Yes, it's like it's Broken Bow. There's like an episode around the middle where you meet Daniels, isn't there? I can't remember what it's called.
Oh,
anybody? And then there's Shockwave Part 1.
Yeah.
And that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cold Front.
Cold Front, yes, which is quite good.
I think it's mentioned in Detained as well.
Yeah,
but only very briefly.
I think it's
tie the Suliban cabal.
It's even mentioned in that Ricer episode, but
Cold Front. I like. I like all the stuff where they're just being nice to those pilgrims that have gone to see that what's it called? The sun is going to do it, like eject some energy.
Like a solar flare? Yeah.
Got there eventually. I liked all that. I like the kind of terse alien captain that's taken in there. There's a lot of little things in Cold Front I like.
Yeah, it's very... I like... It's interesting. I enjoy the stuff now, looking over it. It's a little bit... Because I know how it all pans out, but... There's a lot of questions I have, like how did Daniel survive being killed by Silic?
Yes, they never address that, do they?
Is that from earlier on?
Who's Silic's benefactor? Well, no, because he says, "I saw you killed by Daniels." He says, "Well, I was in a manner of speaking."
Yeah, and it's like, well, wait a minute. What do you? They're basically saying
that's just Temporal Agent 101. If someone asks you a question about how you're still alive, just saying. Well,
To me, that was the writer saying, "Yeah, we decided to bring this character back, but we." Placeholder, we haven't decided how yet.
Yeah, I think that's
no explanation
of the Temporal Cold War story in general. It was a cool idea that they had,
but they didn't think it through.
They were like, wait a minute, how are we going to write this?
Yeah,
it's just too difficult. Let's just say it's sorted.
I think my biggest problem with the Temporal Cold War is that Enterprise is going to be the story of how we got started in Star Trek. It was the first steps into space, beginning the relationships of forming the Federation. But it becomes a storyline of how that is underpinned by temporal meddling, which kind of detracts from Archer's journey. He's not establishing the Federation. He's trying to stop people stopping him establishing the Federation, and it just becomes this circular.
And also,
nonsense.
because it's a war that's being fought from different points in time. On a show where you experience which is linear in time, how would it end?
Yeah,
it's kind of like if Enterprise says, "Oh, we're going to show you how we had first contact with the Klingons." Well, you haven't. You've shown us how we were forced to it because of temporal meddling, because the Suliban are involved. So it's not. Was that original first contact? I don't know. So you're not answering the questions that people have. You're showing a temporally meddled, messed up timeline. So that's kind of my issues with it. There is parts of it that interest me, and I would like to know how they panned out. And I would like to know who that Silic's benefactor is. You can't travel back in time and project it.
I think people have asked Brannon Braga and McMillan that quite a lot of conventions, and one answer was that it was going to be Archer.
Yeah, I've heard that answer, and that's bullshit.
Yeah, and
I just think that's stupid. Sorry,
makes no sense, does it?
And then maybe the other answer to this it'd be a Romulan.
Yeah, it kind of gave the impression of Romulan in his tone and in poise, but I know I just would like something. It's not particularly... I mean, I think there are some novels dealing with Department of Temporal Investigations, and they sort of touch upon elements of it, but yeah, it was just sort of fizzled out, and it was probably best too.
They could have had... when Archer goes back to earlier on in his life, it could turn out that he's in the body of someone else, and
trapped in the past.
Daniel's
using a mirror image that's not his own. That would have been great. But I did really like Shockwave Part 1. I thought it was a great season finale, but not necessarily for the Temporal Cold War stuff. More for the really ballsy, high concept cliffhanger that they end up in the future and everything's destroyed.
What you get from the Temporal Cold War is just that there are parties meddling in the history of... They're meddling essentially to create a world that they want. And you could have a version of that without it being kind of time travel-y. You could just have Because I thought the idea of that organisation that infiltrated Mazar in Fallen Hero, that was a really. I would have liked to see more about.
Yeah.
Them. You don't really know who they are. Could have been, I don't know, like the Orion Syndicate or something, or things that they look at later on in Enterprise. But yeah, I didn't mind the idea. I think it's a cool. That's just it, though. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, with nothing, with
it's
no.
very hard to make into something that works.
There's no
I don't
meat
really
on
feel
the.
they had the full story underpinning it, and so it becomes a bit haphazard and shoehorned.
Yeah, that's it. It's a shame because I'm sure in Cold Front, the way Daniels explains it, it's kind of like the plot to Time Cop, where there's some factors are misusing. So in the future, everyone's allowed to time travel, but they're only allowed to observe. But there's some factors that are going back in time and just messing about. And he's the space police. He's the space time police, and he's going to go back and
go into season 2. But there's a bit where he says that like school kids in the 31st century have like a little time meddling device in their desk.
Yeah.
Well, let's mess with this guy in the 23rd century. Make him think his wife's cheating on him.
Yeah. Let's mess up his tax return. Put him in the wrong band for council tax.
Doesn't that? That's in South Park. That happens, isn't it? They have a time. They have like a time phone. There's an episode where Cartman goes into he freezes himself, doesn't he? He freezes himself so he doesn't have to wait to get a PlayStation.
Oh yeah.
Freezing himself
That's
for like
right.
a few hundred years.
Yeah.
There's like a war between man and otters.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
But that was done better than this.
Yes, that made more sense. Hey, at least that was thought through. But yeah, I enjoy the episodes where that temporal Cold War features, which I guess is Broken Bow, Cold Front, and
it makes
Shockwave.
some nice
They're
episodes,
great episodes,
out of it,
but
I just don't think the overall is particularly.
John Fleck, who plays. I like Silic. I think Silic's a good bad
Silic's
guy.
Really good.
I like Daniels. He's an
I'd have no
interesting
issue with
character.
Silic as a menacing bad guy. Without the time thing, he could easily have been a threatening thing, and the Suliban could have been a very threatening race.
Yeah, I think
they are.
I think the
but
Suliban
didn't have to necessarily.
I like the look of the
time
Suliban. I think that makeup's really well done.
So, shall we wrap things up? With
I think
final
we should.
Thoughts on the first series of Enterprise?
Yeah, I really enjoyed looking back at Enterprise. I've got to admit, I struggled early on in the series because as we've discussed, some of the early episodes are pretty weak.
Yeah, we have a decent pilot.
Yeah.
Then we start off, but we gradually get to some really, really good stuff.
Yeah, for me it was at the point where we got to the Andorian incident where I kind of thought, okay, do you know what? Actually, maybe I will enjoy this research for this podcast. Maybe I've given Enterprise a hard time, and I'm willing to revisit it. And there's some episodes I actually don't remember having watched from season 1 before. And overall, I really enjoyed it. I had far more high points than I did low points in my notes. Comes off a lot better than I remembered it. And I remember watching the pilot episode when it was first on TV back in 2001. Been really excited by it. I remember texting a friend of mine, I think it was maybe even an ex-girlfriend, and saying, "I'm really excited about the new series of Star Trek." I was trying to get a dialogue going on, and yeah. No, I didn't say that, Rick, but it was implied.
I just watched an episode where a man gets pregnant. Do you want to get pregnant? Question mark?
Baby. But yeah, and then I remember quickly losing interest in Enterprise and not following the whole series all that much after that, and revisiting it, I've enjoyed it a lot more than I remembered initially.
Yeah, I thought it had I liked the pilot. Thought it was very good, and the very next episode, Fight or Flight, was very good too. So it had the first 3 episodes essentially I thought started pretty well. After that, it's a little bit hit and miss until, like you say, it gets to the Andorian incident, and then from Andorian incident, it's I would say it's solidly good.
Yeah.
At times, great, and at times, terrible. But the Duffers are they're little kind of they're separate. They're separated out. They don't ruin the they don't make the season Duff or anything.
I'd agree.
They're
with
notable
that.
they're self-contained Duffers. I would
Yeah.
say. Overall, I would say if I was going to rate it, I would say like a solid B, like a B, maybe a B plus.
Yeah. I'd go with
good.
that.
I
So
like
7
it.
out of
it.
10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. This rewatch, I really appreciate it way more than I ever did in the first watch. Stuff I didn't even care for first time, I've found much more value in this time. So it's been really, really good. I feel like I owe Enterprise an apology, because for years I thought it was a bit of I judged it quite harshly. And actually, you look back over it, benefit of time and hindsight, there's some cracking Star Trek in this first series. So yeah, it's absolutely worth a look.
Yeah.
And it has an amazing theme tune.
Dude. No. I wonder if we will feel the same after our rewatch of season 2. I have a feeling season 2 doesn't quite hold up as well as season 1. I don't know.
I'm feeling
we'll find
really
out.
keen to give it a try after this, because I found so much more in series 1 than I ever thought I would. So
there's some good Star Trek alumni in terms of who directed the episodes as well. LeVar Burton, Roxanne Dawson, Robert Duncan McNeil, and Michael Dorn as well. Actually directed the episode.
Right.
So for the keen-eyed fan, keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
Ironically, Jonathan Frakes didn't direct any Enterprise, did he?
No.
He appeared obviously in the finale. I think it was the first series was out concurrently with the series Roswell, which Frakes was directing some episodes in.
Okay.
And there was an episode of Roswell where characters auditioned for Enterprise. And so they filmed a scene where Frakes was the director and they auditioned for Jonathan Frakes alongside John Billingsley as Phlox.
Okay.
Although Frakes never directed an episode, so it's a weird sort of...
That's
crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was reading that on Memory Alpha the other
That's
day.
very meta.
Yeah.
Mike Vija directs a few episodes in this season. He's a great director. He directed some really good Voyager episodes. Directed a lot of my favourite episodes of Babylon 5. Yeah. He also directed Unexpected in Enterprise. So
didn't he at one point come heading back to Earth, absorb 3 Klingon ships?
I was going to say,
yeah, he
was
did.
The inspiration for Vija, the massive entity?
Yeah, definitely.
I guess if your name is Mike Vija, you're destined to direct Star Trek, aren't you? Gene Roddenberry was like, that guy. No, Gene Roddenberry was dead. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sad.
Okay.
On that note, on that awkward note, guess we've reached the end. We've delivered another hour and a half episode.
Yeah.
Of this 2-parter. That is
well done for sitting through our constant babblings.
Maybe we should even think about splitting this into 3. Hey, let's take that conversation off air.
Yes.
I don't know. We can keep it as 2.
Keep your editing ideas in your quarters. There's no room for them on the bridge.
Thanks for listening with us. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this one.
Massively enjoyed watching it and talking about it.
Yeah. And I think we're gonna take a little break and maybe do a bit more podcasting.
We might
do
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves.
Cheers.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. And listen to the Enterprise theme tune. It's brilliant.
That's been cut.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, our website is www.lowerdecksradio.co.uk. You can reach us on the Twitters at 10Backward, 10 being the numbers 10 and backward being the word backward. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/10Backward podcast.
And you can also email us at crew@lowerdecksradio.co.uk. On a personal, individual level, my Twitter is @nerdrick, and I believe you two also have Twitters.
I do. Mine is @Will Turland.
Mine is @Mr. Imhotep. MisterImhotep.
So please do get in touch, give us any feedback or suggest new episode topics, anything like that.
Let's make sure that history never forgets the name.
10Backward?
Laddie, don't you think you should rephrase that?
10Backward. 10Backward.
No, she's interesting.
I don't think she's the right pronoun. But if you think it's worth the risk...
I don't know, maybe I should have brought my scanner with me. Thank you.